We were trying to raise the devil, but he wouldn't come because he thought we were dorks. And we were, but
dorks.
Proper dorks. Anyway, 40K is science fantasy, I guess you call it, not fiction. I mean, dorks are essentially sentient mushrooms, which I love. That's amazing. They're fungus. They're
powerful.
War fungus. And they are amazing. They all talk like that, don't they? So they're always, right, they're going to be, they don't get a lot of breath on there because that's going to mess up the microphone. Again, I think there's a moment of my character goes something like, for the grandfather. Like that, because I was going to be sick. I wasn't.
Really? Wow.
I wasn't.
Can you explain, for people who don't know what Warhammer 40,000 is,
Yes,
we're going to
please.
give you 60 seconds.
Oh, man.
Welcome to the ReadyAimFire podcast, the stories behind your favourite games.
And the talented craftspeople that bring them to life. My name is Keziah Burrows.
I'm Tom Stacey, and our guest today is the wonderful Michael Geary.
Hello.
Yay, who I'm so excited to have on, not only because we go way back, you're a really good friend and colleague in games, but like we talked about in our initial one, we've had some great conversations at BAFTA socials, etc. And I'm just really excited to delve into the world of Michael and the experience you have and hearing all about it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's start at the beginning. What got you into the industry?
Well, when I was working in theatre about 17 years ago, I was working on a show, and a friend of mine there who had done lots of voiceover, she was a brilliant woman called Eleanor Howell, she said to me, you've got a really nice voice. You should do voiceover. And I kind of went, oh, thank you very much. And she said, this and this, gave me all this really great advice. And then because I'm so dynamic and go-getting, it took me another 9 years to get a voice reel together. And then luckily, the people who had the voice reel company, Damn Good Voices, also happened to be an agent. And I recorded my voice reel with them. And I said, okay, what do I do with this now? Do I send this off to agents? And they went, yeah, you could, or we'll represent you. And they did. And I've been very lucky ever since. It takes a while to get going, but, I kept getting all these lovely demos, as they call them, and you record and send them off and see what happens. And then, it's been really good fun. I love it. It's my favourite thing to do.
So you've been with that agency for how many years? 8 years. That's a great relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, they're lovely people. I mean, they just really are very cool. They're very supportive, like most agents are, but they're great. They also happen to have a studio, so you can go in and record the odd demo and do the odd job there as well, which is really handy. But yeah, they're lovely. And they also take on board what you want to do, and they'll help steer you in that direction and put you in front of the right people.
So you say they have a studio. Do you ever do any recording at home as well? Do you have your own setup?
I do have my own setup. We have a 1-bedroom flat, so it works very well as a pro setup, but it means I have to sort of reconfigure the whole house. Okay. And sometimes I have to warn my neighbours that something's happening in my flat, just in case they call the police or an ambulance.
If you're doing a recording for, like, say, an orc in Warhammer.
Yeah, that's happened a lot. There was one where I had to record some naughty chaos people, and there was a lot of, blood for the blood god and all that kind of stuff. And
And the police were called.
Call the police. Oh, it's him again. Yeah. Did you open the door? Oh, it's you. Great. Yeah.
First name.
So that was. But it's good fun to record at home. Yeah.
That's really interesting because I've got a bit of a setup now, but back in the day, I remember thinking I really want it to be aesthetic and it's got to look a certain way. But you can have industry standard studios, can't you? So simply at home, which 100%. I think. Which is really good for people to know that you can actually do something to a high... As long as you've got Wi-Fi and you've got good soundproofing.
Absolutely.
And good neighbours.
And great neighbours.
Understanding neighbours.
Yeah, and there are things that you have to buy the right acoustic treatment. You've got to have that. Otherwise, it'll make the best microphone in the world sound awful because it'll just reflect all over the place. So I use a thing called Nicervox, which is like a little box that sits on a speaker stand. You put your head in there and it just cuts out all the sound, all the ambient sound. It's really good, and it's very handy for me, yeah. I mean, I love working in studios as well because you get more of a connection, I think, with your director and your engineer, and I think that's very nice too.
What would you say is the best part of your day when you're doing a voice acting gig?
When I'm in front of the microphone.
Yeah.
Because you can be anything. It's a democratising process being a voice actor because you can literally play any character. You can be a dragon, you can be a gnat, you can be a sentient liver, I don't know, anything. And it's great because it means like someone like me, I can be 8 feet tall and have a six-pack. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, it's really cool because you're acting out all your fantasies that you had when you were a child, when you were playing by yourself, as I often did.
Talking about playing lots of different characters, you yourself, because I know your work, you're a very versatile actor in terms of, that's why it's so enjoyable for you, I think, to be on the mic and, like you say, playing all these different characters. And of course, you come from the same as me, your Welsh roots.
I'm a little bit Welsh, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how often have you had to use that within the voice world, in the gaming world?
Well, in gaming, my first character that I voiced was Welsh for Warhammer Total War, was it called? Thrones of Britannia. And there were Vikings, and there was the English and the Scots and the Irish and the Welsh. And I played a bunch of Welsh soldiers and kings. And, you know.
Is this the one I was talking to you about earlier, when the King Rodri, the video that I'm absolutely in love with, of when you did that monologue of the...
Well, when he's sort of talking to his son, and he's speaking from beyond the grave. And it was the cinematic trailer that they did for it. So... I got very, very close to the microphone like this.
And he was a huge character, wasn't he?
Well, Rodri wasn't, but Anarud was one of the main, I guess, faction leaders.
But physically,
but he wouldn't be called Anarud, by the way. They'd recorded it before, and the name should be pronounced Anaraud, but they recorded it before, and the other person pronounced it that way, so I had to pronounce it, much to my protestation. It's not supposed to be done like that.
Happens a lot, doesn't it, actually? You're like, oh, this is how you say it. And you have to kind of try and get something that doesn't necessarily sit naturally into your head in the way of saying it.
But the problem is with things like Welsh, you should get it right, because we have a duty for that. Because even though I'm not a Welsh speaker, I am a monoglot. I'm sorry about that. I love being from Wales, and I love the Welsh language, and I think it should thrive, and it should be kept alive. And there's lots of people doing that, because there was a point where it almost went extinct. But people keep fighting for it. It's a beautiful language. I think Tolkien said it was the language of magic, and that's
one of the Elvish languages is based on. I can't remember which one.
Lots of double L's in there. So
when I did Greedfall, that was a made-up language where we had coaching on it, and one of the derivatives was the Welsh language. They wanted the sounds, the guttural sounds.
I did not know you did Greedfall until just now.
I'm
playing Greedfall at the moment.
You're playing it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that good that you didn't know it's me? Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Very versatile case,
we could
well
have
done.
loads of moments like that. That would be fun, wouldn't it? But yes, that was really interesting too, just on what you said about working on a language and bringing the Welsh into things, because it is one of the oldest languages. My sister-in-law always told me this. She knows a lot about it.
It's the oldest living language in Europe.
Well, there we go. We should ask you. Is it really?
Yeah, I mean, that's really all I know. And it's based on like Brittonic. So it came over from France, as did many things in this country. That's why it's very close to Cornish. If you hear Cornish spoken, it's very similar.
I'm reading Foundation at the moment by Peter Ackroyd, and that's really, really good. I've got past that kind of bit. He's now at the Norman invasion. Hooray!
They do a lot of invading the Normans, don't they? They do a lot of invadings, yeah. Well, that's us, but we are they, because everyone else is driven out. So poor old Saxons, eh? What can you do?
Just going back to the Welsh thing. Sorry. Surprisingly, me harping on about the Welsh. I'll leave it in a minute. And going back to how you started, I know you said that you kind of fell into games, but what was before games? You were obviously based in Wales, I imagine, and then you moved to London.
Yeah, well, I went to drama school in London. Left Cardiff when I was 18 and went to drama school.
Was that Lambda?
Lambda, yeah. And I had a brilliant time there. Lots of amazing tutors and experiences, and lots of really good actors there. I think I was too young going in, 18, because I didn't know anything. But what can you do? You got to do your thing. So then I lived in London then pretty much since 1991. I had a couple of moments where I came back to Wales for a bit, but yeah, most of the time in London.
So working in like theatre stuff, and I know you've worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company, and obviously you still do your like television and film dramatic stuff. I know you're in Outlander recently.
Yeah, I had a lovely time on that.
How does it differ when you're working in video games? What's like the main differences? And when you first got into the video games, do you think there was like a stigma for acting in video games?
There may have been at the beginning, but certainly not when when I got into it. I mean, there was a time when actors would look down on film and television. They'd say, well, I haven't got any theatre, so I'll probably better fall back on TV and film. Like, okay, great. There's that old adage that television and film are poor cousins to theatre in everything but the money. And I think that's a pretty good saying. With gaming, no, not really. I mean, there was no stigma when I got into it. And I've been gaming since Pong came out. So there wasn't much voiceover in Pong. You just got to go, beep.
Yeah.
So, do you need another one? Another one, A, B, beep. Beep. Got it, moving on. But yeah, so I've been gaming for a long time, and it's really fun to see how it's evolved. I think games are brilliant to play and to be part of because they are at the forefront of inclusion. And I think we've spoken about this before. It really brings more people in who have or do feel othered. I love that. I think that's brilliant, and long may it continue, and may they continue to broaden their horizons too. Like, so games are like that, and I think that theatre and like horror movies do that too. They bring people in who may not have had a platform before, and I love being part of that. And when I work with students, I encourage them all to look for the work and not count themselves out straight away, because there is a moment where people, there's that old saying, if you can't see yourself being it, you can't be it. It's got about representation. Yeah. And I encourage all students that I work with to never hold themselves back, because they'll be surprised how many people want to help them and open doors for them in the industry.
So what kind of things are you doing with students then?
Well, I do audio. I teach audio as a freelancer at drama schools. So I help them with gaming performances and, battle cries and exertions and, how to work a microphone. The thing about a microphone I don't know what you think about this, Kez, but it can be very exposing for actors. You're nothing else, just you and the mic. There's nothing else to hide behind. And I love that, because you've really got to start playing. And I love being able to play. Depending on your director, they will let you retake things if you've got an idea. They might be up against it as far as time goes. So sometimes you just got to keep moving on. But very often you'll get it done in time and you can revisit things. So I encourage my students to play as much as they can, to know that they can be anything. The only limit they have is their imagination and their voice, obviously, but that's about using that instrument and fitting it to whatever character that you get presented with.
That sort of answers my next question, really. I was going to ask, what piece of advice would you give, young actors? But
well, I'll give them another free piece of advice, if you like, which was given to me by a very dear friend of mine, and I think yours, Kez, lovely Richard Corgan, who runs an amazing self-tape studio, Stag Studio. Look him up. He once just said to me, I was doing a self-tape with him, and he went, Mike, open your mouth, speak the truth.
It's a bit like, what is it, Mark Twain said, for writers, it's easy, just bleed all over the page. Which is very similar.
Let's do another one. Is it Keats, truth is beauty and beauty is truth?
We could put them all together, bleed all over the
truth.
The truth.
Your microphone. Bleed over the microphone as much as you can. Yeah. And also don't F it up.
So when you've got like a long session, what do you do to protect your voice as a voice actor?
Well, I know this sounds really boring, but water is good. Lots of warming up before you get in, and also never be afraid to ask for a break. A good director, good engineer, they'll say, right, we're going to give you 5 minutes. And I've had that loads of times when I've been doing very big characters and lots of war stuff. And, when I was doing some stuff for Space Marine 2, my director was like, yeah, that's enough for now. Come out of the room, get some air, because it's like the thing about voice acting is it has to be physical as well. You can't it's not just from here, it's every facet of your body is created, or is used rather, to create that sound. So you find yourself jumping around as much as you can without making noise, obviously in front of the mic. You can't hit yourself, you can't hit the ground. You've always got to make sure you don't have anything loose on you or in your pockets or anything like that, because, one amazing take, and if you suddenly do that and your microphone picks it up, you're like, oh, well, I've blown that take, you've got to do it again. So yeah, you've got to be physical. I always take a change of clothes with me because I know I'm gonna. This is gross, but I'm gonna sweat through them when I'm doing a record. So yeah, and them giving you that space to breathe and then go back in. That's great. Never be afraid to ask because they will just let you keep going because they think you're fine. But if you ask, no one's going to be angry at you. No one's going to be worried. They will give you that break, allow you to regather and go back in.
I've experienced or witnessed some of your teaching, of which you've been very modest about. But you've been head of a school in terms of that department.
I was head of for a department for a bit.
And you've were really good at explaining all of this. And I wonder if we have a similar background in terms of theatre training. I think how much would you say that's been helpful to the voice work? Maybe it's more, I don't know, the prep.
100%. Working certainly in theatre helps you an awful lot because it's about size. You've got to be able to hit the back wall of an auditorium with your voice, and it's like having a very powerful. Not that I'm saying I'm very powerful, but it's like having a very powerful amp for your stereo system. It's a very old reference, but the more powerful it is, you don't have to turn it all the way up. But you've got the power there supporting it, and that's really important, I think. Mm-hmm. I think the best thing that the director looks for is if they ask you to turn it down a bit, much easier than to turn it up, especially for performance. And I think that, not that I've had much experience, but with regard to theatre actors, I think usually a lot of movie directors love theatre actors because they're quite quick on their feet and they take things on board and they're not afraid to get big. And also, I think that as far as gaming goes, a lot of theatre actors do very well, and correct me if I'm wrong, in performance and motion capture because of the physicality that you have to embody. You're on stage, you're going to be slightly bigger, or you're going to be able to use the whole body from your toes to the end of your fingers because you're constantly being watched on stage. Even if you think you're not, you are. Whereas on camera, the camera goes off at some point, and you say where you are in the shot. Am I in a mid? Okay, well, I'm working from here, so I'll keep it to this certain level. If it's a close up, then you get very, very still. Try not to blink or move your eyebrows, things like that. But I think with regard to theatre, it's a great preparation for you. And I love theatre. I did it for 20 years, and the only reason
it's a great discipline, isn't it? I think,
in
terms of the prep you have with these incredible plays you get to work with there, and knowing how to delve into a script. And of course, we don't get much necessarily all the time with games. And I think it's really helpful to know what to look for and do the detective work. I know that the work that I've had to do on plays in the past has definitely helped with the skill of being able to quickly try and decipher a script that you've maybe only just had to kind of go what, where, why, when, all those questions.
It helps you. It helps a lot of people with cold reading as well, which is a difficult discipline to master. Especially now, I think there's a lot of people I find who find it hard, and they just ask me, how do you get better at it? And it's got to practice, got to read out everything you can. And I'm an old man, so I read out, there's a sale on over there, or so and so streets, and my wife loves that. And so it's just a thing you do when you're older. For some reason, you start reading things out loud to yourself.
Is that right? I look forward to that.
Yeah, it's good fun. You get a text. They'll tell you,
it is time
now. You must read out things now. But the discipline of theatre is, you're always being watched, and you don't get another take. That's the thing about theatre. You're out, people are watching you, and there's that moment that you get. I don't know if you've experienced this before you go on stage, where you're like, why am I doing that again? First time, you're like, I think I want to die. I think I could just leave right now. And some people have. People just go, I'm out.
Anthony Hopkins always says he does like a shot of whiskey before he goes on stage every time.
Another Welsh.
Well, actually, he used to. He doesn't anymore.
No,
yes. When he was younger, he used to. Maybe that.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's the thing, and it is amazing. And the only reason I don't do much theatre now is because I just don't like leaving home for long periods of time. I would do theatre, obviously,
especially in London.
If the National is listening, I am available.
You're only up the road.
I'm only up the road, yes. Waterloo, not far. But I'm not saying I'll never do it again at all. But lockdown was an interesting time for me because, and as it was for many of us, obviously. But I went, I really like being at home. This is nice. and I know I'd miss my wife very much if I have to go away for a long time. And I think she'd miss me.
Shout out, Leanne.
Hey, would you miss me? Let me know.
Is your wife a gamer?
She does play, but doesn't have much time because she's a very, very busy woman. But she used to love playing. Do you remember Fable?
Yeah.
Brilliant game. There was Fable 2. I think we played Fable 2 together back when we had more time. And she loved playing it. She loved buying houses and decorating them, and then adopting children and filling them up with that was one of the game mechanics. Yeah, amazing.
I liked just killing people in the arena.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Less
and kicking chickens.
Yeah,
that was another great game mechanic of Fable. You can kick a chicken, which is you shouldn't do, kids.
Unless they deserve it.
Yeah, it's a really bad chicken. Sure,
Kick that chicken.
kick that chicken, and if someone's eating it, don't kick it because that's not nice. But yeah, we loved doing that, and we used to watch each other play, which was great fun. Actually, it was a lot of fun.
Are you going to play the new one?
I can't wait. It looks amazing. Yeah. It looks amazing. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. It's quintessentially British, and I think everybody loves that.
Yeah.
Like a couple of the games that I've played and I'm in, I like the humour in, and I love all games from everywhere. But I do like this kind of. There's a snarkiness, and there's a sarcasm, and there's lots of passive aggressive behaviour, which is hilarious. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to play that game. The other game we played together was Left 4 Dead.
Okay.
Which is it's a first-person shooter, co-op shooter, and you can split screen it. You can split screen it at home. If you've got if you had more than one Xbox and a couple of TVs, you could then link them all up. What do they call those parties?
LAN parties.
LAN parties. And we had a couple of those when I was working away for long periods of time in theatre, where we'd all have a Sunday off, and a few of us had the same game, and we'd all pile over to someone's digs and like steal the TVs from other digs and put them all together safely, and then we put them back.
So sorry, LAN party is that you bring
local area network. So basically, yeah, you. So if you're playing on an Xbox, maybe you can only have 2 players or 4 players on one console, but you're basically telling the consoles not to talk to the internet, but to talk to each other.
Oh wow!
There's an amazing photograph online of a LAN party.
Oh, yeah, I was going to.
The guy who's been gaffer taped
in
a sleeping bag above everybody else because there's just no room.
No more chairs. Yeah,
it's hilarious. I love it. It's so brilliant. It's just like, yeah, of course you'd think that's safe.
It's like it's strange because it was like it was the thing you did when I was a kid. You'd get all your mates together and have a LAN party.
Yeah.
And now it just makes me sound incredibly old.
Well, I mean, but it's a lovely thing to have gone through and experienced.
Yeah.
Grandpa. One of Werther's, but I mean, like
not near the microphone. The teeth will fall out.
But why would that not still be super cool to do? I wonder, would that come back round?
Because you can do everything online, so there's no need.
And we used to play. So it wasn't a LAN party, but Leanne and I used to play Left 4 Dead together. But what was amazing was you go running around. There's all these zombies coming at you from everywhere, and you're trying to shoot and run through them like this. And they go, where are you? I'm just looking around. You can't look around. Do you want to see what's in this room? You need to see what's in this room. It was brilliant.
So it shows you how you would actually act in a zombie apocalypse.
I mean, look,
you would be Left 4 Dead.
Listen, how I would actually act in these circumstances, I would be dead that quickly. Of course I would be. I would just be although I don't want to be a zombie because it looks really tiring.
It does look tiring.
Oh, especially the faster ones. You've got to run. You can look great, but at what cost?
And I've eaten brains before and it's not great.
They're spongy, aren't they?
They're horrible.
Yeah.
It's like fishy omelette.
Invented by who made Return of the Living Dead? That was the first zombie to talk about brains, and they talked. The zombies talked in Return of the Living Dead.
Famous zombie director name
Romero
George
A.
was not
Romero.
Return of the Living
Not
Dead.
George A. Wrong.
So George A. Romero was Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, Survival of the Dead, and these are the same style frames he used to wear. This is why I wear them. I found these. I know they look silly. I don't care. I love them.
They look great.
When you get older, you get to wear weird things to show that you have some sort of personality.
Another thing to look forward to.
Yeah, you can't have these. You've got to get your own. But I bought these on a vintage clothing store site. I saw them. Oh my god, that's the Goliath Ultra 2. That's what they're called. Trying to make up for anything, but I got massive glasses. I bought them and got them glazed because I just loved them so much. I loved him so much. He was a brilliant film director. And the thing is, he used to wear them. He looked great. He was 6'5", so of course they're going to look okay on him. On me, I look like the guy from Up. But I don't mind that. I don't mind that because I love them very much. They are my going out glasses. And I get this, you get one of two reactions when you're walking down the street. You get people looking at you like this. They kind of go like that, or they look at you like that. And that's fine. I'll take either. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Just love attention.
Yeah, it's great. But so Return of the Living Dead, that was made like 1985 and maybe 84. Very 80s film. And it's got some amazing things in it. It's very bleak, very narcissistic. No, that's not the word. Nihilistic. Very nihilistic. Cut that out, right? Yeah. And it's definitely of its time. And it's very well done. Great soundtrack, really good actors, some amazing effects, some really schlocky effects as well. But it's really cool. Lots of people really like it. Night of the Living Dead was 1968. And it was done on a very, very low budget. I think they originally called it Night of the Ghouls, something like that. And then when he did Dawn, people say it was like civil rights sort of thing with Night of the Living Dead, because it was the first time they had a major black character like leading. But I think Romero said, we didn't do that because of the color of his skin. We just did it because he was the best actor we saw. And then people saw it and went, yeah, but there's a lot more to this. And there's a big message and a very powerful message in it too, which I think is brilliant. It's a brilliant film. And I remember seeing it maybe on Channel 4 when I was like 12. And I was stunned. This black and white film, because I was a kid. I don't want to watch black and white films. And I was just hooked because it was nothing to do with the zombies. It was all about the people. And it worked brilliantly. It was brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Every single actor does an amazing work in it. Same with Dawn, same with Day. And then they remade Night of the Living Dead back in the 90s. And I think it had something to do with rights, because there was something about the rights for the first film where they were given away.
Like they'll lose them if they don't make a film. That's why they make a new Batman every 2 years
precisely,
or whatever.
Yeah. So, and again, that was a really interesting reiteration of the movie. It's slightly different, and some amazing actors. Patricia Tallman's really good in it. Tony Todd's in it. He's amazing in it. It's a great.
Have they ever made a game of any of those?
I don't know if they have. That's interesting.
No.
I'm not sure. That would be fascinating. I guess, yeah. I mean, no, they haven't, I don't think. But they've made
there's lots of zombie
Dead
games, yeah.
which is as close as you're going to get.
The Telltale ones, aren't they?
Yeah, which are excellent. Great storytelling in those too.
Have you played Back 4 Blood? If you've played,
I have
Left
not
4 Dead?
played Back 4 Blood, but is that the same?
It's a sequel to Left 4 Dead. Yeah.
Right. I have not played it, but I'd like to, because I love games like that. They're really good fun.
I've never played those games, but I just know that everyone was terrified of the witch in those games.
Oh, mate, the witch. She's there crying, and if you disturb her, she will rip your face off.
Oh, gosh,
it's great.
terrifying.
So all those different kinds of zombies. So they had like the boomers and the witch, and there was tanks, I think they were called as well, the really big ones. It's a lot of fun. It's really good.
So immersive, like you were saying,
Yeah.
you and Leanne playing and going, I'd never react like that in real life, but the great thing about games, and what we haven't mentioned this yet, I don't think, is how you can just be however you want to be in those situations.
Yeah, you
Love
can
that.
be brave, because
the hero.
I mean, it's very easy to be brave
It's
on a
virtual
computer.
bravery, yeah.
Virtual bravery, yeah.
You watch any kind of social media discourse, and there's some very brave people out there until you actually meet somebody face to face. The same kind of, there's that lovely I don't know if it's a meme with the two dogs that bark at each other.
Oh yeah, the gate. Yeah.
It's perfect social media metaphor. They're barking
Right.
and barking away at each other, and then the door opens. They kind of go, all right, yep.
I was going to ask about when you're finding a character. What's your process for how you find them and how you sort of get into the role?
Well, interestingly, you read around the character. The writers, the developers, they will send you a character breakdown. That's always incredibly useful. And I know of some we saw amazing Jane Perry and David Mencken talking about performance. Do you
Oh, it
remember
was
that?
brilliant. Yeah.
Stunning. And one thing that they mentioned,
Which I think
thought
you can
was,
find on YouTube, actually.
Yeah, you can.
After.
And it was brilliant. And what a masterclass, of course, from those guys. They're brilliant. And the thing I took many things away from that, but one of the things was, with these character breakdowns, what they do is, I think it was David said this, he would write their character breakdown as a monologue of the character speaking in first person. And I thought, that's brilliant. So I do that now. The other thing I do when you're approaching a character is, which I do on stage as well, and for everything else I learned at drama school, was how do they breathe? How does this person breathe? Because it's going to be different to how I breathe. And how you breathe affects everything about you. It affects your heart rate. It affects your posture. It affects everything. And you get that breath, and then the character starts to form around that.
So how does an orc breathe?
He breathes very hard and very freely. So, because
Example?
it's very, very tiring, isn't it, when you're doing that? So what kind of orc are we talking about? Are we talking about like friendly sort of
Give us a few.
Baldur's Gate orc?
No,
or
I
are we
mean
talking
a
about...
Warhammer
Oh.
40K
well,
orc.
yeah. They all talk like that, don't they? So they're always, right, they don't get a lot of breath on there because that's going to mess up the microphone. But, they get really, really worked up all the time.
It's just like you, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, it's me.
I'm a
it's
West
me.
Ham fan, and that made me feel like I was at the London
It's me on the
Stadium,
district line, essentially, isn't it? I'd like to play more orcs, if there's anybody listening out there. But yeah, they have a great fun. I mean, especially in Warhammer, certainly in 40K, you get all these. So Warhammer 40,000, I've done a few.
That's actually a
things for
question we
them.
were going to ask. Can you explain for people who don't know what Warhammer 40,000 is?
Yes,
I'm going to
please.
give you 60 seconds.
Oh man,
Can you explain the
No, I
entire?
can't. No.
You can try.
Okay, it's set in the 41st millennium. Humanity, if you can call it that, is striking out the stars. They've lost many colonies and places out there because of something called the warp, and there's this big schism across known space. Fast and light travel is only possible by going through the warp, and the warp is some sort of dimension that contains all like dreams and emotions, and these things have awakened chaos gods. You got your Khorne, you got your Nurgle, you got Slanesh, and you've got Tzeentch, and there are probably others. Humanity is allowed to travel through this thing safely because of some guy called the Emperor, the God Emperor, who was this very, very powerful psychic presence who had a great big battle with his son who had daddy issues, a guy called Horus. And there was a massive battle. Lots of people got killed, and Horus got obliterated, and essentially the Emperor was killed, but not quite. So he's being kept alive by something called the Golden Throne, which is a city-sized facility, maybe even bigger, where it's keeping him alive, and his mind holds together the I can't remember the name of the things that guide people through the warp and through space. So every spaceship to travel through the warp, every void craft or whatever they're called, has a psychic navigator, a psyker, and they use what the Emperor puts up to find these waypoints to find their way safely through the universe. He's kept alive by them sacrificing on Earth 1,000 psychic people a day to him. Clear?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
This is funny enough, the other day, Leanne and I went...
I might need to listen back to it
We'll
once
do a
or
pop
twice.
quiz.
But
Any person who has any knowledge of Warhammer 40K, listening to that explanation, will have many complaints about how vague
Great,
and
comments
stupid
are
it
good.
it sounded brilliant. You sold it.
I'm happy to be educated and evolve because that's what you do.
There's a brilliant YouTuber whose name, unfortunately, I can't remember, but he just does lore videos on Warhammer 40,000. And I'm one of those people that I haven't actually played Space Marine 2. It's on my list, but I love the universe probably more so than the stories that are within it, because a lot of the novels I don't think are that well written, but the universe of it is incredible.
I mean, some of the novels are excellent.
I've only read like 2 or 3.
I've been lucky enough to do audiobooks for like 4 of them, and they've been brilliant.
Is this for the Black Library?
For Black Library, yeah, I've been very lucky. They're lovely, lovely people there, and it's great work to do. I love it. There's a real art to it. I feel like I'm still kind of learning, but I really like it. There's lots of big, weird words because it's sci-fi, but again, that just makes it more fun. But yeah, the lore is so deep and so vast. And it started, in 1987? Warhammer 40,000, the original rule book called Rogue Trader came out. And I remember buying that when I was about 14 because I loved, this is going to be a shock to you. Brace yourself, Kez. I'm a bit of a nerd. I know, right?
You heard it here first.
I know. And I played D&D.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you can teach me that
Back
too.
when it wasn't cool to play D&D. Back when everybody thought, oh my God, they're trying to raise the devil.
You're an OG.
Yeah, but we were trying to raise the devil, but he wouldn't come because he thought we were dorks. And we were, but
Dorks.
proper dorks. so I played a lot of D&D with my fabulous friends, and they were brilliant at it, and it was really good fun. And that lasted from when I was 11 till about 17, 18. And we got Warhammer 40K, and they used to play the tabletop Warhammer stuff anyway. 40K is science fantasy, I guess you call it, not fiction. And I got the game, we played on weekends, and I got my ass kicked solidly for about 4 years because I'm no good at tactics. I'm rubbish. I just like the figures, they're really cool.
What was your chapter?
I was Space Marines. I can't remember which one they were.
I was Black Templars.
Of course you were, yes. Now sorry?
FOMO again. But it's good, I'm learning. Keep
Do you
going.
know what? It's a great game to play. And if you go into any of the Warhammer stores and it's quiet, they'll teach you.
Yeah.
They love that stuff. And there's loads of iterations of it. I think it's brilliant. And when it started, I think what's really cool about Warhammer 40K is it tells you a lot about the time it was originally conceived, which you were right in the middle of Thatcher's Britain. And there was a lot of stuff about, people in power, things aren't great. I mean, let's face it, the human factions in 40K aren't goodies.
I don't think anyone is having a good time in that
orcs
universe.
Are having an amazing
the orcs,
time.
the orcs are having a great time.
Going to wah, and they are. I mean, the orcs are essentially sentient mushrooms, which I love. That's amazing.
Right.
They're fungus. They're
Powerful.
war fungus, and they are amazing. They have the best time ever. The Eldar, who are like the Eldari, aren't they? They're like the elves, and then you got the Tau, who do things for the greater good, and then you've got the Tyranids, who are just trying to eat everything, but they want to digest you on the outside first before they eat you. It's great. And then you've got lots of other people knocking about too. But it's great because there's something there for everyone. Everyone is essentially a baddie who think they're the goodie, like real life.
Like the best villains think they're the hero.
Absolutely. And yet, the big clue for humans is they're called the Empire, the Imperium.
Yeah.
Nothing's good has ever come out of something calling itself an Imperium or empirical or being ruled by an emperor.
Right. No.
It's not good. Nothing's good. But it's fascinating, the levels of lore that you get in it, the amazing technology, the fact that technology has kind of been banned, but they use it all the time, but you can't use AI. Instead, you use dead bodies that have been retconned into CPUs. They're called servitors. So, you need a servitor to open a big door, then there's kind of a body or a skull shoved into the wall there, and you got to interact with that. So they're lobotomized people who've either been just recently killed or they were turned into servitors because they were criminals. It's madness, and I love it.
Well, I just wanted to, I'm not sure if I've ever asked you this, and just because both you guys being obviously
nerds.
well-gamed nerds or cool gamers, of which, I'm working on, very much the beginning of my journey, but that's something we don't have in common. And I'm wondering, I can't imagine it ever being a hindrance being a gamer, to be a performer in it. Are there benefits? What would the benefits be for being a gamer who works, a gamer who works in games? I mean, performs in games.
The joy of being part. And when you find out you're in something, and then they tell you what it is, and then there's like, oh my god, that's brilliant. I mean, obviously you'd apply yourself anyway because you're professional. It's good to have a background knowledge, I think, but also it means you can talk to people about it at its basic mechanical level as well, which is really good fun.
Right.
And also you've had experience of putting yourself in the position of where these characters are. So you would know, for example, if being an NPC, then you got to act like an NPC. You can't act like a main character,
Non-player characters to anyone?
Absolutely. I get to play a couple of NPCs in a game called Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, and I have a ball on that because they are so much fun, and you know exactly what they're gonna sound like. And when you're playing, for example, there's one character I play who gives advice over the Vox, and you know what the tone's going to be. Having played it, you can't be too loud. You can't punch over the action, but of course that's up to the engineers, the director.
But great to have that knowledge going in to do some of the job for them before.
Well, and also you know a lot of the terms, and so you don't have to stop and say, how do you say that? Because they'll just you especially with things like 40K where there's lots of really arcane versions of words. So you don't have factories, you have manufactoriums, for example, stuff like that, which is all this lovely
grimdark.
Very grim, very dark. And
grimdark
Yeah.
is the name of the genre.
Yeah. And it is very grim.
It's like bleak as hell. Everything sucks.
Everything sucks. Yeah, it's really,
Apart from for the orcs, which I've got.
Oh,
I'll remember
orcs,
that.
Orcs just have a fabulous time.
I didn't know that they were mushrooms. That's brilliant.
They are. I mean, that's what I've been led to believe. Look, someone might lie
Someone
to me,
can correct us
and they're
if
trying
they're
to
not
make me look
mushrooms, yeah.
stupid. And to be honest, you don't have to try to make me look stupid.
No.
Listen, we'll definitely have a corrections corner. No
Yeah.
doubt
Oh,
about
I
it.
can't wait for that.
For us
'cause
both.
I am very excited about learning more. And that's another thing about you get to engage with people who know. You'll always find someone who knows more than you. And more often than not, they are extremely happy to talk about it. And I love listening to it. It's like listening to poetry a lot of the time. I may not understand 80% of it, but I love hearing the sounds that are coming out of their mouths and the passion that they have for it. And that's one of many things that I love about gaming industry as a whole, but certainly with things like 40K and Warhammer, the passion that's behind it. And that's wonderful. And because it gives a lot of people who may not have that conduit for their joy to go down. So there are a lot of people who get to interact with each other who normally may not even speak to anybody else.
Right.
And I really love, again, this idea of inclusion. People who feel othered in many different ways can feel part of something. And I love that about games.
While we're on the subject of Warhammer, we won't stay on this forever.
Who? What?
Will you be watching, or will you perhaps be involved in Henry Cavill's new Amazon Prime TV show?
I mean, of course I'm going to watch it, but there's no way I'd be in it. Look at me.
Why not?
Look at me.
They're missing a
Maybe
trick.
there's nothing in that. Listen, if you're listening, Mr. Cavill, I'm a very big admirer of your work.
Well, fellow gamer, right?
Yeah,
Fellow
sure.
gamer.
Then, happy to provide voices for things.
He might not know. If you don't know this, Henry, I'm going to call you Henry. I feel like we're friends.
Mr. Cavill, I'm going to call you.
Fine.
HC,
Great to
I'm going to call you.
Oh, nice.
Even better. You are the voice of the Space Marine in the armor ceremony cinematic, which is one of my favourite pieces of games media ever
That's
made.
what I'm talking about, I think. That's the speech, right? Incredible speech.
Well, I'm
he
not
does.
going to do it with my poultry
Can I just say,
tones.
Kez, every speech I do is incredible.
Well, of course. Agreed.
Thank
But
you.
this one in particular, if that's the one, I'll find it.
Is that the
put it
one where
somewhere.
he goes, like, I bear these burdens
Yes.
as the
Yes, that's the
Imperium
one.
bleeds.
Incredible. You love it
Incredible.
too.
That's my favourite one. Yeah.
Hey,
Oh, that's very
Agreed.
kind of you. Well, that was a lot of fun. That was one when I was showbiz anecdote.
We love an anecdote.
I
Come
was
on.
doing like a film in Yorkshire, a feture film, The Siege, very good. Brad Watson character. Hello, Brad. Hello, Mark Price as well, lovely man. And they're my friends. And I was in a hotel, right? I had a day off. And this hotel was really nice. It was really lovely. But there was nothing around it. It was in the middle of flat countryside. Nothing. It was really weird. I don't know if you're familiar with the TV series Sapphire and Steel, but it was like a place out of that. This kind of place where you'd find ghost children and people with no faces doing weird stuff. And you've got, elemental agents coming to sort things out. That's a deep cut. Don't worry about that. Anyway, I was staying in this lovely hotel and in the middle of literally nowhere. You could see nothing. There was just nothing for miles around. It was in the middle of nowhere, probably an old farmhouse, something like that. Anyway, I got a text message from my agent, like saying, "Oh, you got to do a demo." I was like, "Oh, I haven't got any of my stuff. Oh, what am I going to do?" So what I did was I built a little recording studio in my room by putting a suitcase stand on the bed and then draping the 12 tog duvet.
Nice.
Very nice. Proper deep, like over the top. Shoved my little phone in there, pressed record, and then just started, shouting "For the Emperor" and all that kind of stuff. And the poor people outside who were either walking past,
And you all telling us your neighbours, and like, we're on holiday. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, yes. Oh, it's you again. Oh, darling. Yeah, exactly. And so I was doing all this stuff, and because they essentially, I got the demo through, and it was one of those times where I was like, I don't want to do it. I want to go out. I want to go to York because we were not far from York. But I'd stayed in and did the demo and sent it off, and I luckily enough got the job.
The life of an actor, see? You've
And
got to
it
make
was-
those sacrifices
You got,
sometimes.
it's so hard. Oh my God. #sacrifice. But yeah, it was love. It was great. And I got to record it. I recorded it at home with the team on Clean Feed, which is like software that's like an online studio, I guess. And they were giving me lots of, direction, because this was a kind of a thing they were putting out it was quite a big swing for them, really, this animation. And I remember hearing it and watching it for the first time. I was like, wow, I'm a big space marine. It was very exciting, and I fell in love with that. And that was my first Warhammer 40K interaction. And I'm really lucky in that I've done quite a lot in that universe. Not as much as some, but enough to keep me happy. And I'd love to do more, please, if you're listening, Games Workshop. And an amazing time working with brilliant creative teams, amazing writers, brilliant actors. It's all been lovely. But that I do love that one speech. And the animation itself is beautiful. It's so detailed and so grimdark. It still looks fantastic.
I hope that whatever they do end up doing with the television show, I hope they recreate it in some fashion. I think it's like integral to understanding the ritual element of what a space marine is.
Yeah, and there's a friend of mine, a brilliant voice actor called James Alexander. Hello, James, who works on Dark Tide. He's the voice of the Judge Zealot. Fantastic voice actor, really, really brilliant. And he keeps teasing me about that, because he's like, well, it's 4.5 minutes. You have to get dressed in 4.5 minutes. It takes you ages to put your armor on. I'm like, mate, that's not a long time. It takes me 20 minutes to get dressed at home. It's not a long, 4.5 minutes, not a long time.
No.
It's not a long time. For knights, if you really want to go technical,
well, yeah, exactly.
Medieval knights, it'd take them 15 minutes.
And they didn't have like flying space babies putting their gauntlets on.
There were no cherubs.
Like
no, everyone loves
this. All sounds so bizarre to you. I'm so sorry.
Again, but I love this. Every game conversation we've had about a game is making me go like, this is incredible. They're also different.
They're not actually babies. I think they're that grown.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that makes it fine.
Correction.
That's fine, yeah.
I think that's fine.
Correction corner.
I might be wrong. There might be like, I don't know what they've done to the babies. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
Grimdark.
So, AI then.
Yeah.
How do you think that will affect, or will it take, because obviously telling a story and having, like you said, the tangible, in the moment feel, do you think AI will be able to replace us?
I mean, one day, maybe in the far-flung future, which is why the Emperor of Mankind in 40K got rid of AI.
How the Emperor.
Absolutely. But there is this huge discourse about AI, and it is very difficult. I think there are certain areas where it's really going to help us medically. I think it's got some incredible, the applications are unbelievable. And the thing is, it's not going anywhere. It's here. We're not going to get rid of it. So we've got to learn to live with it. And there should be legislation for us to do that. What we don't want to do is for, as many people have said, online and in print, we don't want AI to create the art and we do everything else. That's the wrong way around. That's crazy. But I think in our industry, it can help us. That it can really help us as an aid to voice actors. They can go, right, we're going to do this to your voice, but what we're going to do to your voice would wreck your voice. So we're going to use this for you to sound like this, like you're having your vocal folds torn out. And you'll go, okay, thanks very much. Here's the sample, blah. And they go, great, that's it. Obviously, we're just going to use this for this one IP, and we're not going to go anywhere else. I'm going to pay you a ton of money to do that. That might work, might not. It'll never replace, I don't think, us, human beings, because what you don't get are brain farts and cracks in your voices, a weird burp coming out, strange noises that you didn't even know were going to come out of your mouth. And all those weird things that happen, all the so-called mistakes that we have, the cracks that appear, is usually where the beautiful light pours in. And that's where our wonderful performances come from the mistakes that we put around
Lovely
it.
analogy.
I think it's just that thing that we have that will always separate us.
Full kind of guy, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I hope to be. I mean, otherwise, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
You've got to try and enjoy
the dark future of humanity.
The alternative is I get lobotomized and somebody turns me into a
Servitor,
bidet.
Yeah, all that.
Worst job for a servitor, by the way. Bidet. Terrible. Or hand dryer. That'd be awful, bad, just being a weird dead body blowing hot air onto your hands. Be awful. But we talked about, a few friends of mine talked about that.
What you said there, though, like it leads me on to a question I had that I was going to ask earlier. Is Has there ever been a moment where you felt like you got it completely wrong, and did you have a chance to rectify it, or did you sort of find the good side of it?
Yeah, there are lots of times when I feel I've got it completely wrong, and then the director says, "No, it's fine," and then you got to trust them. That's the lovely thing about having a good director on the other side of the glass, or sitting in the theatre, or behind the camera.
Yeah.
They're the ones who go, "You've got it." Like our very good friend, mutual friend Mark Price, brilliant filmmaker, lovely man. And I remember when I first worked with him, we were doing a film, and we finished. He said cut, and I went, was that all right? Because I can go again. He went, "Nope, we got it. I've got your footage. What I do with it is none of your business."
Yeah.
And I loved that. And I was like, great, that's a really good lesson to learn. Yeah, there's plenty of times when I've done stuff, especially on stage, you can't take that back.
Yeah.
Or no.
But hopefully they haven't recorded it and taken it out.
I mean, I had an Auntie Gwyn, and she always used to say, throw the shit over your shoulder, because that's it, it's gone. And I absolutely 100% agree with that.
She didn't teach you how to potty train, did she?
She did not. No, she didn't. I got kicked out of 5 nurseries. If you second guess yourself, you're not going to get anywhere. And of course we second guess ourselves. As artists, as actors, we're always second guessing ourselves, which is why with my students, I always say to them, look, if you're doing a demo, if you're doing an audition and you're recording it, 3 takes. Just limit yourself to 3 takes. Otherwise you'll go all day. And I still do that. I do try and adhere to that. But there are times I'm like, I've got to say 5 lines. And I always put an hour and a half aside to do that, because I know there's going to be, you're going to edit as well, but you know there's that really voice in your head.
And you'll probably end up going with the first take.
First, second take. Is that there's a magical thing between take 2 and take 3 usually. But obviously you're a one take wonder, aren't you, Kez? You're
Absolutely
perfect,
not.
Perfect every time.
Yes.
Perfect every time. But I love, and I think if I've got to be braver with a lot of these things, I've got to, if I do mess up a little bit, I should leave it in the take, because they might go, oh, that's interesting. Because I've got, like in Dark Tide, there's audio recordings of me having a coughing fit. Because the good thing is my characters are all infected by Nurgle, the grandfather who infects people with his special gift, which is plague. And so me going, they kept it in there because it's perfect for these guys. There's a moment where, I don't know if you probably haven't experienced this, Kez. Maybe you have. When you're doing lots of barks and exertions and stuff, which are, all of the things around the dialogue that you do. If you do too many of them, especially things like zombie sounds, like that, there's a moment where your diaphragm goes, oh, we're twitching, are we? Okay. And it starts twitching by itself, and you start wanting to throw up.
Nice.
So there's moments in...
This is why I'm a producer. That's why I let you guys to crack on.
Yeah.
Also,
exactly.
Michael, very committed.
You don't have to do it, and you don't have to wipe down the booth afterwards. So you're fine. But there's, again, I think there's a moment of my character goes something like, for the grandfather, like that, because I was going to be sick. I wasn't.
Really? Wow.
I wasn't. But yeah, so, you do...
It worked. AI wouldn't know to do that.
AI, exactly. But so yeah, but there have been times when I've done stuff and I've gone, oh God, can we do that again? And they'll go, yeah, no problem, which is lovely. Again, you can do that with audio and with film and TV. With TV, they're pushed for time a lot of the time.
Yeah. Cool.
But again, like for example, I did Doctors. I did an episode of Doctors, and it's such a shame it's gone. I think it's crazy because every member of the cast, who like the regular cast, delightful human beings. The crew were incredible. They were so fast. They put everything together so quickly, and they moved so quickly that you went, this is great. I've got to up my game. And it inspired you to work hard. And I know you did it, didn't you?
Yeah. I actually, I did it 4 times, and the last one, which was last year.
Hello, 4 times, blimey. Bloody Audi Quattro over here.
No, but the last one, it was aired the last day of their filming.
No way.
That's why it stays with me
God.
last year. But I'm totally with you. I totally agree. And I think there was no training like it, because it's such a skill, and like you've said a few times today, I think one of the best qualities is just knowing I'm always learning. Yep. We never know. And you never know, especially on a set. And I loved it for that, because the 4 times I went back, I was like, okay, gosh, trying to keep up, because they're so fast and they're incredible, those regulars.
Were you guys,
were
you always playing injured people? Or were you doctors?
No. What did you play?
I played a pregnant lady who thought The Rock was speaking to her.
Right.
My
So,
partner,
no acting required. Good, yeah.
my partner believed in 5G and I didn't, so we got a divorce.
Believed in 5G.
He believed in 5G. We separated.
And you didn't believe in 5G?
I didn't. That it was causing problems.
Causing-
Sorry.
I thought you meant like, I'm pretty sure it exists.
I should have read the script
I've
properly.
got 4 bars. No.
Then I was breastfeeding and I was a lawyer and I came back and was petitioning Bellamy versus breasts because we should have been allowed to breastfeed.
So
And there was- I
we've
can't
got to
remember
get
it.
that T-shirt printed immediately. Sell that. ReadyAimFire.
Oh, and I did. I
Bellamy
broke. I
versus
had
breasts,
then I had an
yeah,
abusive husband and another one had a broken arm, so
Oh,
I was
that's
injured
sad.
in one.
Oh,
there we
that's
go.
sad.
Yeah,
Well, you
but what
ended on a
mixture.
downer. So.
That's very good. I played a guy called Swamp Monster.
Right. Were you actually a swamp monster or just somebody didn't watch?
I didn't believe in Swamp Monster. No, I played a guy called Swamp Monster when what's the character's name? Ian Midlane plays him. He's a brilliant actor.
Oh, that's my last one. He's incredible. He's
yeah.
RSC boy, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's a-
Doctor.
I can't remember his name.
Doctor.
My apologies, but he was he and a podcaster were looking into a cold case, and it was about this rare book. So he goes to see his friend, Swamp Monster, who is a LARPing friend of his. We decided,
Okay.
and
Gaming involved even in that.
yeah.
Look at that.
Well, I mean,
We've made a
Real life
connection.
gaming, yeah.
weird idea, but I was playing kind of a nerd. When I went to put my costume on, they went, your costume's just there. You know, that in that amazing building with the costume department with like all this like warren of corridors, right? And you go into your dressing room, and because it was an old school, I think.
I was going to say, it
yeah.
looked a lot like a school.
Yeah, looked like my old school. Yeah, with the big iron radiators. Anyway, and my costume was hanging on the wall, hanging on the wall. Yeah, they framed it. They're hanging on the coat hanger, and I looked at it and went, that's my clothes. It was just my clothes. I was wearing exactly the same clothes. I was just putting on, I had like a pair of jeans, pair of trainers, some kind of reference T-shirt, and a plaid overshirt. And I was like, that's exactly what I'm wearing. Yeah, exactly the same thing.
Casting.
And I played
What's that
played
super?
Swamp Monster. And I got to say the word erotica in the, yeah.
Did you say it like that?
Watershed.
I did, yeah.
What was the film? Here we go. Where they go and see the guy.
Husky was the name of the doctor.
Dr. Haskey, we found it.
And he was super cool. I want to say it's not Californication. It was probably something like, what's the one with Johnny Depp in where he's psychedelic? It's all going like, woo.
Oh, Fear and Loathing, Las
Right.
Vegas.
And he goes to visit the guy in the dressing gown. Oh, no, hang on.
No,
It's the John Travolta, isn't it? It's the John Travolta film.
Pulp Fiction.
Is it Pulp Fiction?
Pulp
When he
Fiction,
goes
yeah.
and sees the guy and he's
Eric
in
Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz.
Oh, it is Eric
We got there.
Stoltz.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction, Eric Stoltz. That's what it sounds
Love
like.
Eric Stoltz. He's, I wish. No.
Because he was cool.
Just a little hairy fat nerd.
I would play a Pulp Fiction
I was
video
playing-
game if they made one. But
Mate, that would be amazing. It'd be terrifying.
find out what's in the golden briefcase.
That'll be my idol.
I ain't going to Zed's shop, mate.
No.
That's not happening.
Not without a samurai sword.
But yeah, God, yeah, it's a good movie, that.
Great movie. Sorry, on to
cracker.
movies again.
Sorry, I wanted to ask you,
Please.
do any of your fans recognise you out in the real world, not the virtual world? And if so, what's the strangest or funniest interaction you've had with said fans?
I recognise you, and I'm a fan.
Oh, that's heartwarming.
Terrifying. Can we finish this?
Yeah.
Please, help. So once we were out having lunch locally, my wife and I, and I happened to have my wife, and we had, and I had my phone on the table, and this waiter, and he was like 17, lived locally, you know, and I had my phone on the table, and it had screensaver of my Ultramarine.
Right.
And he went, "Oh, that's great. Do you like that?" I went, "Yeah. I was. That's me." And he went, "What?" I went, "I did the voice." He went, "No way." I went, "Yes, I did." And he got very excited by it, and he made me sign a receipt. I wonder if I paid for someone else's meal.
Oh yeah, shit.
signing that.
Yeah, you might have.
dear.
Yeah, quick, just sign
Oh
here and
God,
here.
that's how all my money
It was worth
disappeared.
it. It was worth it.
Such an idiot. Oh my God. But yeah, so that was fun.
So potential credit card fraud is
Potential
the,
credit card fraud. Yeah, it's all good. But no, I haven't really been recognised by anyone because I'm not anyone special. I'm not anyone
You
special.
are.
It's fine.
No room for humility on this show.
There is no room for your humility here.
You have such an impressive CV in so many different areas of performance.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm serious. And especially within the profession, I think it's always the biggest compliment to be an actor's actor as well, which I'd definitely say you are. Not a bad word said about Michael, and you're an exceptional talent. But don't reply. Just take it.
Sweating. I'm sweating.
You got to
now.
change your clothes. It's fine.
Schwitzing. It's
You
really
do,
bad.
have you got anything that you can talk about that is coming out?
No. No.
But there are things.
There are things coming out. Yeah, there's 3 things that I'm working on at the moment, which I'm very excited about.
Okay. We'll have to have you back on to talk about them.
I would love that. Thank you very much.
All that is for us to say that thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mike for
Love
giving
you,
us some of
Mike.
your time.
You're the
love you,
best.
Kez. Love you, Tom.
Thank you. Love you back.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much. Love you all out there for watching.
Come back and do it with us again, please.
Definitely, if you want me back, absolutely.
This has been the Ready Aim Fire podcast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.